everyone knows the three gentlemen. We have here Hans de Leen here from Trendminer.
The three gentlemen, the two rogues.
What's that? Sorry.
The three gentlemen, the two rogues.
And Peter Guilfoyle from Northwest Analytics. I suggest we first take a few questions about the presentation, some direct questions that may live in the audience. Yes, there is here one. Oh, thank you, Preet.
Renzo, you mentioned that you had failed 3 times with big data. Can you maybe share some of the lessons you learned from those experiences?
Of course. Is it,
I think it's on.
yeah. Yeah. The lesson. It's more the data itself, the cleaning up. We expected, for instance, our plan data. That's it's in control by a software firm that monitors our backups. Now, we needed the data to make the data lake. Now, we couldn't get a data backup from the period we wanted because nobody ever collected the data set before. And now the firm was asked to deliver the data set. Yeah, and they said, okay, it will take some time. And we were 3 months later before we got any data set. And that was only the data from our own backups. Then it needs to go to the new system. It took another 3 months because the data was from an old system. The new system had another software versions, not compatible with our own. So they need to figure out how to import it again. And then you are 6 months further and people keep asking, and how is your data regression coming along? Yeah, I don't have anything yet because there's no data. So that's the biggest one that we had.
So the IT part in preparing the data, getting them ready to be used is one main issue. And then in treating those data statistically,
the other one is you have lots of different data sets, and combining those, you need to combine your plan data, your quality data, your process data to one big set. Now we do all things time-based, but all the time intervals are very different, and we need to integrate them into one sort of set. Now, are you going to interpolate the smaller data sets for infrequent points that are measured, or do you find a way around that? We still are not sure how to couple the data in a right way, so you not are adding extra data to your system that's not valid. You're going to increase your not frequently measured tags to your most frequent measured tag, and that gives a lot of extra noise, and it interferes with your regression in the end, because the value of one set might be completely the other way around. So that's where we're currently struggling, and data. We asked a few data scientists, how did we cope with it, but they are still searching themselves.
Thank you, Renzo. Yes, Mike?
For the 3 presentations there, you both chose 2 very popular analytics companies. I know many companies use Northwest Analytics. My sister facility in Belgium uses Trendminer. Oh, sorry, my name's Mike Dudzik from ArcelorMittal Dofasco. Just curious in terms of your process and your decision-making in terms of how you chose those particular companies you use, especially because there are many companies you could choose from.
We chose. We had a number of presentations of companies which said they could provide extra data, extra information, and based on those presentations, we got on site. We got experts from all the departments there, and we selected. We did some. Trendminer was not the only company we tried, but it turned out to be the most added value and the easiest to implement. So that's why we ended up with Trendminer.
At Carrari, we actually use both pieces of software. We actually have another Belgian site which used Trendminer, so there were synergies there with using Trendminer. And both pieces of software do different things, so there's not a cannibalism between the 2 softwares per se. With NWA, we found a dashboard we could use, like Bill touched on, that can combine many different databases into one standard view. And that was very helpful for us.
Same thing here for us at BASF. We have lots of different options that we can choose, but the fact that I felt like we had really good customer service support, it was easy to take pieces of what we wanted to use, because we realized that it's very specific, and if you really look at data analysis over, I mean, at least in my career of looking at data, just because you have a correlation, a Pearson correlation coefficient, doesn't mean that it's real. Okay, and so you still have to prove that.
Doesn't mean that there is a causality.
Causality, right? Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I meant. So, sorry, I misspoke.
No, that's fine.
But so for us, you know, it was like, let's make it more user friendly, and let's be able to take the pieces that we want specific for the area. And then the third part of it is the cost. For us, we didn't have to add any hardware or anything. It was all of our existing systems. All we did was is pay essentially for the software and a seat license.
Yeah, and I would say that there are, as Jared indicated, you know, there are companies that use both our software packages. Some
Actually, all three customers are using trend miners. So.
Yeah.
And there's no one right way. There's no one right analytics package for the market. It's what works for you. And I know ARC has a lot of literature and some very helpful resources to help companies sort through that decision process.
I may add one reason that helps deciding. You may say there are a lot of solutions that go after the same value, right? There are not a lot of companies who do it the same way, right? So the way we do it, focusing on the process engineer himself, is quite rare. There's not a lot of companies out there who do it that way. So if you are, and you've seen it in the slide from Renzo, if you've already gone through we've done it ourselves, we've done it with the big data projects, actually we would like to do the analytics part ourselves, then there's not a lot of solutions out there. Right? So that's the reason why as soon as you come up with these new methods of doing analytics by yourself, but very advanced, you're only going to end up with 3 or 4 names maximum in the market.
Any other questions to the presenters? Not right away. Okay, then I'll like to prime the discussion a little bit. By the way, please think of rating the session before you get out of here. I have presented the gentleman. I'd like just to throw in a few statements. It's not very systematic, it's not research, it's not statistics, but just giving you a few anecdotal statements. I was last week in meetings on the Connected Factories project sponsored by the European Commission. And there was one project reporting. It's called Boost 4.0, which tries to establish a big data solution, open source. And they say industry throws away 99% of the data. Basically, we collect huge amounts of data, and most of industrial companies don't use that efficiently. And something similar we have been hearing also last week from Dow, who also use Northwest Analytics. He said, and this ties back to what BASF does, the goal is higher reliability by connecting data to decision making. So, very similar type of philosophy. All is based on the data we are already producing. So no reason to collect anything new. We have all this data, we're just not using it very efficiently. Another way of formulating it is one of Dow's colleagues that says, the data are there, bring them alive. I find it very interesting. So we can use the data that we have much more efficiently. And then when we were discussing this with the team here, we came up and said, We need to go to data-driven decisions and not intuition-based decisions. And that doesn't mean that intuition is not valid. Intuition is a warning signal by your brain that says, have a look. It is not necessarily an indication that you should actually follow that intuition immediately. You should go and check if that intuition is correct. And so then we go back to the data and make data-driven decisions.
Yeah, and I think a lot of organizations fail to be able to make those data-driven decisions not because of the tools or the technologies that are available. Two prime examples, they're out there. It's what has to happen to an organization. And I think there was a session yesterday where they talked about the changes to the organization are far more difficult. And that will ultimately determine whether your implementation of any analytics project is going to sustain itself over time and deliver that value back to the company.
Question there? Remark, that's good.
Hi, my name is Fred Rumman. I'm a colleague of Renzo. I was marked on the screen there for a moment. What we also discovered, start using what you have. And also in the big data analysis, and I think 2 or 3 came back with it, you're missing several parameters. We don't have enough data. We had already 8 terabytes of data, and let's state we have a lot. Yes, we don't have it all, because we still are learning, but start with the data what you got. Start. And that's also where Trend Miner came in, was starting low, start using what you have, that already brings you value. Don't wait for the 100%. Maybe you never reach 100%, start using it. We have enough. Or if you have not enough, you have a lot. Maybe that's a better word for it.
Yeah, I would say there's no maybe about it. You're never going to reach 100% and then get started. That is, as we've
That's
seen.
100% certainty?
That's 100% certainty that you'll never get started. You'll never realize the value.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a remark and maybe even challenge the last quote, data-driven decisions, not intuition-based decisions. What we have noticed from all those missed or failing big projects in IoT platforms and what so on, is that the intuition and the experience are extremely important for the first step. You cannot have the data itself tell you everything without the cleaning of the data yourself, without the knowledge experience of the people before you. So the data-driven decisions are still driven initially by the experience of the subject matter experts, which is not enough recognized by the bigger automated systems that you may find in the market.
Yeah, SMEs are critical, and I think Michelle talked a bit about that yesterday from Dow. You know, they know what their processes are supposed to be doing. They know where they want to run them, and again, these are but tools to help them achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, I should have maybe be a little bit more precise. Intuition is like machine learning. So basically your brain is learning based on experience, and at some point you say, something wrong here. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from your experience. So if your intuition is experience-based, it is probably valuable.
But it also depends on who you're looking at, whose shoes you're standing in. If you're standing in the operator's shoes, and he's done it this way 100 times because he sees a certain parameter going a certain way, he's going to make a decision which may or may not be the correct decision. He's just going to make it because, well, that happened before, I'm going to do it, and without looking at the data. So
Yeah, I think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the intuition and the experience are extremely valuable. However, go back to the data and check if that's the right decision to make. Right? And it's the same with people. If I have an intuition about why someone has a certain behavior, I can make huge mistakes. But it is a warning signal that says, go and have a look at it.
Yeah, I think the most successful companies related to how they use at least our product is they assume that what they think they know may very well be wrong.
There's a question.
Right.
And you look for the data and the analytics
To
show
back
you
up,
one way or the
to
other.
back up what you're doing, right? Okay, Mike is back.
Good idea.
So two of the presentations talked about their Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma program and that, and this is the first time I've heard anyone in these kind of Industry 4.0 sessions talk about their Six Sigma programs and that. Six Sigma, obviously, we have that at our facility as well. And there's lots of statistical tools and techniques. So obviously these Industry 4.0 analytics are much very advanced and all that. I was curious from the two presenters that talked about that, how do they see incorporating some of these new, more advanced tools within their Six Sigma program? Was it easy? Did it just go seamlessly? What was your thoughts on, because Six Sigma has some very prescriptive, analytics types tools there. So I was just curious how you saw some of these maybe more advanced tools.
Yeah, that's what I said in the slide. The people doing the Six Sigma projects, they do it with the current tools they got on the training job. And now we are introducing new tools that give them more opportunity to do quick searches, collect data much faster in what they need for their project. Yeah, you need to show them how to do it, and that's the only the training you need to enable people to keep on using the new analytics.
So from your perspective, it was pretty seamless, other than some training with some new tools?
Yes, it's mostly the training and make people aware how to use the tools and what opportunities there are. Because there are a lot of tooling we still have in the program that we even don't use today, because people don't think the way still, they are still in their old habits of how analyzing a problem and how can I get to a solution. With the new tooling, you can take a really other approach and get other extra results. But people need to, they need to learn, and that will come, but it takes time.
Bill?
Yeah, for us, to me, I think Lean Six Sigma is prescriptive because there has to be discipline in how you look at data, right? And I think that's part of the whole reason why it's always been that way. Another piece of it is, I would just caution, is that my observation working in industry, there are no true certifications of black belts and green belts. You've got, in some cases, you have people, like I was taught by people from Motorola, and I'm certified through them, and if I talk to someone that went to some university that never really worked a project, but they're walking around with their green belt or whatever, they can't answer some basic questions that you would expect. So there's a big gap there. But for us, at the end of the day, Lean Six Sigma is really about identifying your key process input variables, right? And your and how that affects your KPOVs, right? And so this software is used as the control method. This is your control chart. This is what you're going to use for your control plan, okay? To keep that back in, because you're referring back to your procedure. It's giving you the information when you're not in spec, and it's forcing you to work that control plan back. So to me, it's the control piece of the DMAIC line. It's the control part of it. And so the key is, for it to be effective, especially in anything that you're doing, you need to figure out what are the KPIVs. And Lean Six Sigma gives you those it helps you identify what those are. Okay? And then once you get those, you can control them, and you control them using this software.
Could we possibly summarize and say that the Industry 4.0 or smart manufacturing systems or technologies, whatever, enable executing the stuff that we always wanted to do, but in a more efficient and a faster and more effective, maybe even cost-effective way?
Yes.
Right. Okay. We only have 1 minute left. I wanted to get back at the impact on corporate performance. So I also listed a few statements that I found. Again, it's not very systematic, but Bill gave us real insight. He helped reducing safety incidents by 50%. That is a real impact on corporate performance. There is no discussion. I collected a few statements from Cytec in the Netherlands who said we avoided we got major gains in avoiding production losses and unnecessary repair and replacement. And they also did some diagnostic analytics similar to what DSM is doing, and they saved a 1 million euro per annum savings on that one single particular example. And so that, anecdotally, I think that demonstrates that analytics have a significant impact on corporate performance. It's not just a little success story here and there, it's a major impact. Anything else to be said on that?
Yeah, and maybe it's not, we cannot quantify the benefits directly because it's the tooling you use is more an enabler to get quicker to the solution, but
Right.
it's not
It's not the only factor.
Yeah, SciTech uses assets, and you can repair an asset, make a control loop. But we are looking at the process, and there are lots of factors that contribute to the total process and the product quality. And if you want to adjust, my adjustment made so much more quality. There are so much more parameters we attribute to it. It's only enabling your results, but quantification is very hard.
So that's true for certain types of issues and problems. Yeah. But if you look at, for example, asset analytics, if you can detect that an equipment needs maintenance or repair before it breaks and before it causes an unwanted shutdown for a few weeks, that can really save a lot of production value. So there you can really prove numerically what the value is.
Yeah, I think it's if you look at it in more general terms, we've all heard the term cascading failure. So this happens and then it causes problems down the road. If you look at the application of analytics in the process environment, I think you end up with cascading success. So I address an issue before it hits my final product quality, and everything else from there on out is, that problem never presents itself in the product further down the road. So, now how do you quantify that? That's a very difficult thing, because it's, to borrow Lloyd Colgrove's, how much do you value the mistake that you don't make? And that's, that's when you're getting to the proactive solution before the issue presents itself.
One result is that Dow doesn't show any major accidents. So working on reliability this way seems to have effect. I'd love to stay a few hours more with you discussing, but we'll conclude here. Thank you so much for being present. We have a break now, 30 minutes, and good trip back home. See you soon.